Got it.
Welcome to the NZ Ahead podcast. Everything you need to know about moving to and living in New Zealand.
There's a whole world here.
So nice to be with you again.
You'll be what?
Kia ora.
We call it Aotearoa around here, bro.
We are your hosts, Liz and Brian.
Amazing New Zealand in the southern seas.
See, that's where I belong. That's home.
Hello and welcome to the NZ Ahead podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian.
And today we're going to be talking about common fears that come up when you think about moving to New Zealand. We're laughing because we're sitting here in the spare room. Yeah. And we said, we were sitting here in the spare room and we're like, shall we say I'm Liz and I'm Brian? And we're like, no, let's just go straight into it. And then we start, and it's like, I'm Liz and I'm Brian.
Just doesn't sound right otherwise. We've got a fan going because it's the middle of summer here in New Zealand, and so if you do hear a little bit of a whirring noise, I'm sorry, it's the fan in. The ceiling fan is keeping us cool.
And this is a podcast, not a YouTube podcast, which I'm always so much more relaxed when I'm just doing a podcast.
I know,
it's
and
so much easier.
We really are trying to get more podcasts out for you and not YouTube versions of podcasts. So we just get back to doing this sort of thing then, can't we? Yeah.
But the thing is, I got up this morning and realised that we had a YouTube video going out today. It's Thursday. And I thought, oh no, we haven't got anything to put out for the podcast. You know, we haven't done a podcast. So I went on to my Slack group in our private New Zealand calling community and I said to them, well, actually, let me just rewind. I'll tell you what I said to them, because what happened, what sparked all this was last week I got an email from a guy in Canada and he was saying...
Not Randy.
No, it wasn't Randy. And he said, I want to move to New Zealand, but every time I get close to, not sealing the deal, but every time I sort of seriously think about it and think about the house and getting the house on the market, he said, all these fears just wash over me and I'm just filled with anxiety and I just pull out. He said, been meaning to have moved to New Zealand for 5 years. And he said, and every year is the same. It's just get too frightened. So, well, for one, I thought that was a lovely email to send to me because it takes a lot for someone to, open up like that, doesn't it? It takes a lot
for just anyone to email you.
I know.
It really does. It makes you're appreciative of when people do send you emails.
Yeah, you are.
Things like that, aren't you? Yeah.
So anyway, with that in mind, I went on the Slack group this morning and I said, good morning, look, I've had this email from this man in Canada and I told them the story and I said, so how about... for this week's podcast, you all just say to me or give me some ideas of what scares you most about moving to New Zealand. And it was brilliant because it just started this big conversation within the group.
Yeah.
All them sharing the things that they're scared about.
The little fears.
Yeah.
Things. Yeah.
And it's within our group, we've got people who are already living in New Zealand. For example, Miley, who moved to New Zealand I think 7 months ago. And she started off in the group and we watched her come to New Zealand and now get a new life. And, she's a friend of ours. And so it's the people that are in New Zealand that actually can help the others. It's like being at school.
But how brilliant was it that Miley, she works at the hospital. She's a critical care worker, isn't she? And so she came over here and all the lockdowny stuff. And she's just put a good word in for Emil, who is in Holland. I know. And he has now got a job in the same hospital.
That's networking, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what it is. And that's what was brilliant about this community that we've got. It's just you've already got people on the ground over here. I know.
So she went to her supervisor and just said, they were looking for people,
They were looking for someone. It's just then that's what it's all about, isn't it?
It made me so happy when I heard that. Yeah. Well done, Emil, and well done, Miley, for working together and helping each other.
It does. It gives you a real buzz, doesn't it?
It does, right, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I put these questions out and people came back and I've sort of lumped them into, because to be honest, they're quite similar, the topics. So if you are out there listening to this and you're not yet in the stages of, making your move to New Zealand, but you're thinking about moving to New Zealand and you've got these fears, know that you are not alone, because we've got 120 people or however many people we've got in that group alone that are all sort of feeling the same way as you're feeling.
All just going through the same sort of feelings. Yeah.
It's horrible when you think you're on your own, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I love it when you talk to someone and you're like, oh, I feel like this. No, I feel like that as well. It's like, oh, thank God. Because you just
Well,
tend
they're all
to
like-minded
think that-
people as well, so they all tend to feel the same and all think alike, don't they? Not all feel the same, but you do get the variety of everything. But it's just great because when someone says something, it's like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, or oh, I did it this way, and it's just like, oh yeah,
I know.
brilliant.
I think it's just that feeling of just not being alone. So, oh, Bri, we're drinking peppermint tea today, aren't we?
Yes, yes, we are. Yeah.
What were you just going to say?
It's actually
Were you
spearmint,
just
isn't
gonna
it?
correct
Yeah,
me, were you?
because I don't really know the difference between peppermint and spearmint, but I'm pretty sure.
what
Or
makes
is
good tea?
it just regular mint?
It's just regular mint, and I went to the garden and I picked it and chopped it and put it in the
well,
teapot.
That's just growing outside in your
Yeah.
flower bed, isn't it?
And I love peppermint tea, like proper, like this peppermint tea, because they say it makes you focus and it makes you uplifted, and it's true. Do you think that?
Yeah, because it's not actually tea flavoured, because I was listening to a podcast the other day and the guy was saying tea is tea, that's it comes from the only one plant is tea, so you can't have peppermint tea unless it is like tea with mint. So this is as he called it, an herbal, I don't know what herbal is, I think it's herbal myself, an herbal infusion.
Ooh, little rat bag, aren't you?
Yes,
little rat bag. You should be happy. Liverpool won this morning, so
They
stop
did.
being so bitter.
2-0.
Yeah. And anyway, so it's lovely,
Italians,
my peppermint tea.
Yeah.
It's lovely, my
Give them a
peppermint
good whooping
tea.
this time. They gave us a whooping once, but we're back.
Right, should we jump into it?
Yep.
So, who shall I start with? So Ollie and Nikki, both, they're a couple with kids. They live in the UK. And actually, Ollie's just
got a job over
I
here.
should say about that. Oh,
Wow.
this
Yeah.
podcast is just going to turn into a
shout out for everybody.
congratulations group.
Yeah, but if you're coming to New Zealand,
why aren't you in our group?
Jump into our group.
I know.
Yeah,
It's just like, what are you playing at?
Yeah, get the free guide, and it leads to the Slack group, and you can come on and join us.
Yeah, so anyway, that's not supposed to be a plug, but anyway, Ollie has just got a job.
Yep.
So that's fantastic. But they've got little kids, and they both said number one concern they had was the kids will resent us for taking them away from their grandparents.
Yep.
They might grow to an age where they suddenly turn around when they're like 15 and feel like, oh, why did you do that? And they feel deprived because they haven't got their parents, their grandparents. And also, listen to this, because this was like a conversation that was going on within the group. I'm not sure if Nikki and Ollie said this, but they were saying about, it's that thing with the cousins as well. When you leave
your cousins,
your mum and dad in England, and then your sister still stayed there, and my brother, not my brother because my mum was here, but it's like, and then those cousins are always closer to the grandparents. Well, you think they are. I don't think they are actually.
No, I think it is to a degree. And I used to think back, even when we used to live up in Bath, in the southwest of England there, and mum and dad lived down in Cornwall, they always used to really say our lot, which was Linda's kids, and not really
your sister.
Yeah, my sister, who lived down in the same town.
We used to get so annoyed about that,
but it's
didn't we?
just like, it's silly, isn't it? It's just, it's what they would do because they're there. And not only that, they're like 10 years difference between our kids and theirs, wasn't it, from the first ones and things? So, yeah, it was a big difference at the time.
Isn't it funny? I don't think it's the kids that's the problem. I think it's the parents.
It is the parents. It's never the kids.
Like, you got him a better present than my kid.
Yeah, you spent more money.
You spent more time with them than my kids. It is the parents. I don't think the kids think that at all.
But that goes back to this. And that's, when Nikki and Ollie have said that about the children, you put your own feelings onto your kids. You really do, don't you?
You do, actually, yeah.
And realistically, they are going to thank you so much for bringing them over here.
Yeah.
Because there's no way they're going to turn around and go, you took me away from England. It's like, when are they ever going to say that to you? Because half the time, I was 5 and 8 when they came over here, and they remember England, and they've been back since, haven't they? And realistically, they just they couldn't wait to get back to New Zealand.
No, they couldn't.
And I know there's family over there, and parents and things like that, and grandparents and all that sort of stuff. So yes, that side is always going to be an issue, but you just make it so that when you come here, you save and you go home.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't
and that's
it? It's not. When you move here, it's not. It's not like. Well, I was going to say the gates aren't closed, but actually they have been for the last 2 years. So that makes me sound like an idiot. But it's not like, okay, here that you are in New Zealand, that's it. You're never ever going to see your family again. And we've talked about this stacks, and it doesn't matter how many times someone says it
and
to
they go,
you.
"Oh, my mum and dad are too old to come out." No, they're not. They're really not.
Well, you just go back there.
Yeah, but you can go back there.
And I
but
know it's expensive.
It's 4 tickets if you've got
Yeah.
two kids. So you're paying 4 kids. It's cheaper for you to fly them out.
Yeah.
And put them on an adventure, and you'll spend better quality time, because all you do when you go back home is you sit and have cups of coffee with everybody.
I know.
And it's just feels like a waste of time. I know you're meeting up and catching up, but it's tiring. It really is. When I've noticed when we go back and you just end up cups of tea, cups of coffee. I've got to go and see them today. Got to go and see them, and it's just like.
Hope you don't go back to England, Brian, and they say, "Oh, hello, Brian. Here you are. Look, no, hang on. They don't stop interrupting. I hope you're not going to go back to England." And they're going to go, "Oh, here's Brian. Look, here's a nice cup of tea, Brian." And you say,
if you dream of moving to New Zealand, then you are going to love what I'm about to share with you. 12 years ago, when me and Bri emigrated to New Zealand, we were scouring the internet, trying to find any information that we could about what our life would be like when we got here. And basically all we had was YouTube. So we made this vow. We said, when we get to New Zealand, we're going to create something that we can share with others that answers those questions that you're so desperate to know about. Like, what is your life going to be like when you get here? And that's what I'm here to offer you today. We have created a 5-day free, absolutely free video guide that shows you what it's really like to live in New Zealand. This stuff is unique and it is fabulous. You are not going to find it anywhere else on the internet. And like I say, it's absolutely free. You'll be sent a video every day for 5 days and you will know what it's like in New Zealand. So head over to the website. It's www.nzahead/free. One more time, that's www.nzahead/free. You are going to love it.
and they're going to go, "Oh, here's Brian. Look, here's a nice cup of tea, Brian." And you say, "Oh, I only drink.
It's boring. This.
I only drink spearmint tea."
I'm not even going there. Oh God.
Kia ora. I only drink spearmint tea.
Kia ora. We're going to spearmint tea in New Zealand.
Yes, exactly. So I suppose there's no answer to
there isn't.
The children thing but I think that's a really good point that you make, actually, Bri, is you put your own fears. You tend to think, oh, they're going to feel like this. No, they're not. They're not. All they care. Yep. Do you know what? This is totally off topic, but let me just tell you this story. I was interviewing a homeschooler called Jen. She lives in America, right? She took it's a big story, but she took her kid out of school and homeschooled her for a year and then put her back in school. And when she went back in school, she did a test and the test came out that she hadn't learnt anything. Actually, that's not true, because it came out again that she had learnt lots. But anyway, so she thought this little girl hadn't learnt anything. And she said, so that, they sat down and they talked about it as a family, and the little girl was all upset. And then the next day, Jen said they got in the car to go to school, and she dropped her off at school. And when she picked her up, she came out of school and she was just like really down-faced, really upset. And Jen thought, oh no, it's because she's failed those tests and she's going to think that she's stupid and it was all to do with homeschooling and I failed her. And she goes, "Are you okay, darling?" Oh, actually, that's not how American accent speaks, but "Are you okay, darling?" Sounded Irish there. And the little girl goes, "I'm sad." And she goes, "Oh, darling, why?" And she goes, "Because I can't do the monkey bars like the other girl. She goes on number 5 and I'm only on number 3. I'm like, oh, and Jen said it was almost like a huge relief. Yeah. Because you sit there. I do it all the time with Tessa. I'm like, I bet she's thinking that. I bet she's thinking that about me. And you go in and you talk to her and she's talking about our eyelashes and whether the serum works that she's been using. Yeah.
No, the biggest thing with kids and stuff like that, you've got to understand they are very, very resilient. And we all pander to them too much nowadays and ask them their opinion of this. And it's just like, do you know what? This is what Mum and Dad are doing. We're doing this.
This is for your own good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though.
And if it's not... but you don't even think that. You don't even think it if it's not, because that's the first thing that comes into your mind, doesn't it? And if it's not, well, what if it's not?
Yeah.
It's just like, no.
And you're going to make it, there's loads of ways that you can make it special. I mean, yes, you're not going to see them physically as much as you'd like to, and maybe the cousins are going to get better Christmas presents than your kids because it's too expensive to send them over to, New Zealand. But you're going to make it special. You're going to have a very special relationship with your grandparents, with your mum and dad all of a sudden, because it just moves into a different state, not a different stage, what's it called? Like a different level of experience. It's just...
It does. To be honest, you can spend more time speaking to them than what you would if you were at home. Because if you're at home, it's they're only around the corner. I won't bother talking to them this week, and I'll go around next week and have a cup of tea with them. And you never do. And now you can Skype and FaceTime and Zoom and all those sort of things, can't you? Like Messenger or whatever it is that you can do, and it's instant. And everyone's got internet nowadays, and so it doesn't cost you a penny to call anyone anymore.
The other interesting thing is as well, my brother lives in England, and he's got 4 kids, and not so much now, but when they were younger, you do. Not Sonny and Tess, this is me, this is my fears, thinking, my kids spend more time with my mum than his kids, and I feel guilty about it, And when she went home to see Jamie one Christmas, she went home and she spent the whole Christmas with him. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So you spend this quality time that you'd never spent before.
And Jamie said she just spent the whole time. So when Mum is here, she spends the whole time talking about Jamie's kids, doesn't she? All the time. Does, She never stops talking about them. Yeah. Oh yeah, Joe's done that, Leo's done that. And Jamie said that when she went over, she just spent the whole time talking about my kids. And I said, well, I'm glad you told me that, because that's all she does when she's here.
And that's all she ever does,
I think grandparents do that though, don't they?
Yeah, but you do, because you always... again, like your mum, she's always on the phone to Jamie and the kids and in touch with them all. And so she's got all this information. She just wants to tell you thinking that you'd be interested, and you are, but it just sounds like that's what they're talking about, doesn't it? But
I'll tell you one good piece of advice though that Doug told me, actually, your brother-in-law, Doug. Yeah. He went to Australia as a kid. And when we were moving to New Zealand, I hope I haven't already told you this, but when we were moving to New Zealand, he said to me, Liz, don't do to your kids what my dad did to me. He said, we moved over to Australia. He said, and he constantly spoke about England and how England was better than Australia. He was always comparing it to Australia. And it really stuck in my mind, that. And I made sure that when we came here, I never did go, well, it's not like England, is it? You wouldn't get this in England. No, me and you do, but I wouldn't ever say it to the kids.
No, you can, and it's... they were talking about that today, weren't they, in the healthcare jobs in the group, about comparing. When you go to work, you compare things, and then you realise after about 6 months, even takes some people 2-3 years, just stop comparing. You're not living there anymore.
No.
If you really want to, just go home, go back to where you came from, sort of thing, and. It's just a mindset, isn't it? It really, really is. It's just you've just got to change. Stop comparing. You always will, price-wise. You'll compare how much things cost and this, that, and the other. But again, I've said that story about the guy at the Vodafone shop and saying, "Oh, in England, I can get this, and this for that," and it's just like, well, you're not in England, so it's going to cost you $70 instead of $20, £20 or whatever it is, So you're not going to get the same deals, but. Stop comparing,
and that'll make it a lot easier for the kids if you don't constantly keep talking about. And also, like I say, it's going to be special. So yes, there's one side of it that you think, I'm not going to physically see them as much, but when you do see them physically, it's a lot more special.
Good, yeah.
Right, okay, so also Nikki said, I'm worried about not getting any time as a couple because I haven't got any babysitters. That's a good point, actually, because she's
but how old are her kids?
I don't know, but she's obviously got parents that, or family, even like saying to your sister. But let me just tell you this, Nikki. When we first moved over to here, when we were building our house, my mum hadn't moved here then. She came here a couple of years later, or she was she went travelling around the world, didn't she? She was travelling, and we had so many offers to us to say, oh, see you building your house, I'll take the kids. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Rose, that doctor, she had them, Karen Lurkey had them all the time for us. Just all these people were really kind and saying, oh no, I'll do it. And also they've got in the schools, they've still got them, I know they have. They've got these parents, where you swap a babysitter. and you all like share the same babysitter thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know what the word is, but
unless she's talking about going away for the weekend, but the fact is, it's going to be such an adventure
tough.
for everybody.
No one can do that, can they?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but that's what
take the little buggers.
That's
with
what
you.
she'd be saying. Like, you just hand over the kids to the grandparents for the weekend, and you go off.
That's nice.
Off doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
So I can understand that, but yeah. Well, for a long time in Bath, we didn't have that, did you? Because your mum didn't live in Bath.
Oh, do you know what? The other thing is as well, when you say about I'm taking them away from their family. When you move to New Zealand, or I'm imagining when you move anywhere in the world from, emigrate, you suddenly become this really tight little unit, don't you, Bri?
But you should do, yeah.
Well, you do.
Yeah, you do. You do, because it's us against them as such, isn't it?
You've done it together, and it really, really brings you together as a family.
Good bonding time.
It is. It's fantastic bonding. And when you talk about, that's my family back there, it's like, this is your family here. I mean, you've said this a lot, haven't you?
Yeah.
Like, this is your family, and you become so strong and such a tight little unit, and you've done this adventure together. Just keep talking to them. Just keep talking all the time, asking them, how are you feeling? Ryan said a brilliant thing on the chat. He just said he has regular check-ins with his kids, like well, he's American, so he's going to do that because that's what Americans do. They're into talking to their kids.
We just tell them to get into bed.
No, but he just said he has regular check-ins with them and just make sure everything's we do it at dinner, don't we? That's our time.
That's it. We always had dinner. When they were tiny, or breakfast, whatever it was. We'd have breakfast before I went to work and things like that. So at least we had some time together. Like the weekends we just spent all together, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't. It's such an adventure. You don't really need the same time on your own, unless it's in the evenings. But then put the kids to bed, and then you've got your time in the evenings, haven't you?
Unless you're going to, and you're not. I know that you're going to be moving just outside Auckland, so you're going to have loads of people around you. You're going to make so many friends, and you're all going to be mums of little kids and younger kids, and you're all going to swap. So do not worry about that at all.
Our kids used to have loads of sleepovers, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They're massive into sleepover in New Zealand. Maybe we should point that out.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So
because in Bath, they didn't, did they?
No.
They'd be like, you had to book it about 4 months in advance if you wanted a sleepover.
No, that was the thing, wasn't it? It didn't feel the same in England about sleepovers, but here it's just a big thing.
It is.
It's a whole bunch of kids as a party at the weekend, as in talking
children's party,
like 7-year-olds and stuff like that, and even teenagers. They'll still going out for the weekend.
And do you know what, Nikki, as well? I mean, I'm just talking to you here, darling, but it's New Zealand culture. Like in the summer, Sonny did this. He was homeschooling and he did it, and. When Kiwi families go away, they just invite other kids to go with them.
Yeah.
And they all go camping for like 3 or 4 weeks and take someone else's kids with them. And it's like, remember, Sonny just went, didn't he, for like 2 weeks?
Just look at Sonny. I know it's his girlfriend, but Hannah was his girlfriend was going away with her mum and dad to camp in the summer holidays, and she was taking her best friend, but her best friend couldn't make it, so Sonny went for 10 days away. And she's still doing it now at 18.
That's such a good point. I've just remembered that because we were talking about this last night as well, didn't we? Because when Tess went away with Olivia and they all went down Taupo, and they went away for, so it's a very
we had the weekend free, didn't we?
A completely different culture than in the UK. Can't speak for the US because I'm not sure what the US culture is, but certainly if you're sitting in the UK thinking, what's my kids going to do, you're going to be in for such a treat.
I know, because half the time you never see them, do you?
No, you don't.
They're always out and about. They're always just depending the neighbourhood where you live, 9 times out of 10 it will probably be very nice, and they can just walk around. You're happy to just let them play on the roads and things. It's just not the same as...
Well, maybe not the roads. That's going a bit far, isn't it?
But they're quiet is what I'm trying to say. Go and play football. I used to play football on the road.
Oh, I'm sure you did, Brian.
Yeah, we did. Nothing wrong with that.
Right. So number 4, the other one was, so I've just got a bunch of stuff written down. It was such a good chat, just looking at it all going on. And you know what was lovely is they were all supporting each other, and I loved it.
Yeah.
But Hillary said... Hillary said about the kids as well. So Hillary's also got children. Yeah. But
Hillary lives in...
She's in America.
California.
And she's worried about getting her house ready to rent or to sell. Yeah. Which I just thought, that's a really valid point, because the thought of it is just like, oh, no.
No. Yeah.
How am I going to tackle this
true,
up?
But it's something you can start doing at any time that, you can start clearing out thinking, I haven't used that for the last 18 months. That is going in the the sale bin or whatever it is, it's going on
what
eBay.
bin?
The sale bin.
Oh, the sale bin, yeah.
Yeah, not as in a bin to throw things away, but just a box or something and start something. Don't think I'm going to have to do it all at once. It's just like start with the little things, and that's the way forward with it. Like, you know.
And it's so therapeutic chucking stuff out, I think.
Yeah, or getting money for it. Like, you've got old computers and things like that you just think, sell it now. So, things like old speakers everyone's got. There's tons of stuff that you can sell, isn't there?
So, I think that the answer to that is just, I know it's overwhelming, and it's like we're in the same boat now because we're thinking about going away to Europe, and it's like we're going to have to get this house ready to rent if we can get a renter. I don't even know if we can yet, but it is overwhelming. But like, it's exactly like you say, just do a little bit at a time, just a little room at a time, you know?
That's it. Not think of the whole thing, because the whole thing will blow your mind. One thing. Yeah, I'm going to start with the garage. I'm going to start with the roof space, the loft, and just work your way around from that, and then start to think, okay, we can see how much stuff we've got now. Yeah.
So another comment we had was from lovely Katie E, and you know what, I just wanted to climb through the computer and just give her a big hug, because she wrote such a vulnerable comment, and I just thought, it's such a lovely girl. She just said, she's worried that she won't make it. I'm reading her words now. That she won't make enough money to support herself, and there'll be no friends or family around to lean on when she hasn't got this money, basically. Okay. And so she's just going to fail, and she's going to have no support system around her. So,
I'll start with something like that. That's fear. Okay, so it's starting off with fear that I won't make it. Okay, so I've started a few friends in businesses and things like that, and the biggest thing that would stop them starting businesses is the fear, thinking they will be walking the streets, knocking on people's doors, asking for work and things like that. Same thing with Katie is what she's saying. She's not going to make it. So that's just a thought coming through your head that basically you don't even entertain.
No,
because if you give it energy, then you're gonna not fail, but you're gonna go down that route of more and more fear, and you're gonna hold on too tight. And it's just ridiculous. It's not ridiculous. I understand it, but you've got to get over that fear. You've got to be courageous and think, I'm making
it's not
a
ridiculous
go of
at all.
this.
It's not ridiculous at all. But and I know you didn't mean Katie was ridiculous, but
no,
it's not ridiculous, Bright. It's very, very, very real.
It is. But you've got to be courageous and do it. You've just got to do it. Because,
do you know what, Katie? I read somewhere. I suffer from this too all the time. Whenever we've got a lot of businesses going on, and we're trying to do this and we're trying to do that. We're not financially stable, and sometimes I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh my God, my heart's just racing, and I'm just so scared. And it's like, oh, I don't want to try that because what if that fails? And I read this brilliant thing, and it just said, imagine that you've got your thoughts are coming past as you're sitting in a train station, on a railway station, and the trains are coming through the station. And if that train that's coming through is serving you and you want to get on and ride that train, because it's making you feel great, then great. But if it isn't, if it's like if it's a fear, if it's making you feel unhappy or edgy or anxiety or anything like that, then you just go, and this is his words, not mine. He just said, just say cancel and just move the train on. He goes, and just let it go through the station. Yep. Let it go. Because that is just a thought that is in your head, a story that you're telling yourself. It is not true at all.
Yeah. Another way of looking at it is, what it's like when you're flicking through the channels on the TV. It's the same thing, and you get on something and you don't like it. You change the channel, and
exactly,
that's it. You've just got to change that
just
channel.
Change the channel. Yeah.
It's easy. It is easier said than done, but really, don't give that fear any energy, because it's not good for you.
It's not.
Just change the channel.
Yeah, and do you know what, Ryan? Good old Ryan. I love Ryan so much. Ryan is in our group too, and you might know. You've no doubt heard his podcast that he's done with us. He's amazing, and so is his wife Joanne. But he said, I've found it harder to fail here than in the US. There is a lack of worry around things like healthcare, so you can make it work. And he said this, and I love it. He said, you can't fail. You can only reimagine your desires and reframe them. And I just thought, oh, that's
He
so nice.
said, we've never met Ryan and Joanne face to
not in
face.
real life,
We've
no.
got to get, because we started to know him through all the lockdown periods, didn't we? And he did a few Zoom calls with us. He did one just before Christmas, which we're releasing very shortly, aren't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a top guy.
He is a top
he really
guy.
Is.
He is.
Yeah.
He's so good. He just makes such sense. But
Yeah.
and what was I just going to say then? I was going to say something else. It was just about the fear thing. I thought,
Honestly, Katie, if you can get through immigration, as in if you can get a job over here, you will not fail.
No,
you
you
really
won't fail,
It's
darling. You won't.
You know, I came over here as a plumber, and I was here for 90 days, and they asked me to be the manager. And it's just like, so you are just going to put so much energy into yourself and into your job.
Yes, you're going to make it work.
You won't cut. Yeah, you do.
You're going to make it work. You're not going to come all the way over here and not make it work.
Yeah.
And the other thing as well is this fear of, this very, very valid fear that people have of, oh my God, what if I can't get a job and then what am I going to do? I won't be able to rent a house and then I'm going to be on the streets and, then what? Because I haven't got anyone to stay with because I don't know anyone to know. And it's like, what if that happened to you at home? What if that, I always think this is like, because I always think, like when you were working as a plumber, like, when you had your heating business, and we were getting like $1,500 a week, and it was like, that was great because it was comfortable, and that could have stopped any time, Bri.
Yeah.
What
it did.
It could have stopped. No, but I don't mean you leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have dried up any time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But anything can happen. We had that cafe in Bath.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, people could have stopped coming in and going, oh no, I'm going to go somewhere else now. And we would have been, it just... You don't let it get to that stage anyway. You're not going to get to that stage because you're going to be taking every day as it comes. And if something isn't going to work out, exactly like Ryan said, you're going to reshape it.
Yep,
you're reshaping your life to how you want it to be.
You start looking for other stuff way before that tripping point ever happens. Or, you just keep your ear to the ground and... if the company's going sideways, which probably won't, but you adapt and you move.
Reshape.
Of course you do.
You just reshape. Yeah. If you can move to New Zealand, you can do anything.
Yep.
And that's the truth.
And worst case scenario, you just go back to the country you came from and start
exactly.
again. But you can always come and live with us for a little bit if it's getting that bad.
Well, that's what you feel like saying.
Yeah, but you've got enough people that you know over it.
Tell them that. Yeah, I know. But I always think that because I was just thinking that about Nikki's kids. I was like, I love your kids. It's like, no, Liz, don't say that on the channel because you're just going to be inundated with all these kids.
Yeah, we don't want any Evertonians.
All right, so we've touched on all the kids and the on what Katie said and Hillary with her their house and everything. Oh, so I'm just going to finish with something that Katie said. I'm mentioning you again, Katie, because you were so vulnerable and you were so. It takes a lot to go on a chat and say stuff like that, and say what she said. But she just said she thinks her fears stem from other people's fears. Because people are saying to her, oh, you're not going to make it over there. And that's exactly what people said to us all the time.
Yeah. And that's because they're fearful people. Yeah. And
they're putting their fears on you.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same even now, Katie.
Yeah. Get out while the going's good, Katie. Get over here quick.
No, but it's the same now, Bri. It's like we're talking about going travelling to Europe. Yeah. How many people have said, well, not loads, but some people have said to us, well,
the majority of people say it.
Yeah. Oh, well, you're stupid if you go travelling at the moment, this with COVID. And anyway, what are you going to do? And you won't be able to, all the Airbnbs are closed. It's like, what are you on about?
I know. Yeah.
But I've talked about this before. You do take on other people. If you're not careful, you absorb their energy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you feel doubtful. And it's like, hang on a minute. This isn't my fears. Yeah. This is yours. Take it back, please. There you go. You can have it back.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And I just wanted to close on, because we've been going half an hour now. It's a good chat, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really nice. But I just wanted to say something that Miley said. So Miley, like I said before, Miley and Brian, they've been over here 7 months.
Yeah, we love you guys.
Yeah, we do.
Good people.
They're part of the group and she's just great. And this is her answer to what Katie had said about... Oh, no, sorry. Katie said, I think my fears stem from other people's fears and I just want to prove everyone wrong that doubts us.
Oh, yeah.
And Miley said, as long as you're trying to prove something to people, you won't be fully living your life.
Exactly.
If you never try, you will always regret it and you will always wonder what if. Mm-hmm. If you come to New Zealand and it's not a good fit, then you move on to another plan, just like we said.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she said, failure is an illusion. It's just experiences that help shape your life, good and bad. So that's all life is a bunch of experiences. If you're not going to get out there and have them, then you're not living, basically, are you?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think it was, I can't remember the name of the guy who said, you fail forward faster. As in, you know, if you fail backwards, it's a nightmare, isn't it? Like, you know, so you're not going to, so you just got to keep moving forward.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
And having those experiences and just having adventures, because that is what life is about. And these are your children and this is your family, and you're creating memories for your kids and your family, just like your mum and dad did for you. You know, my mum and dad moved from Lancashire to Cornwall.
Yeah.
I never saw my grandma. Never.
No, and it was
the
just
1980s.
as
I never
bad
saw
then,
her.
because it was a 6 hour, minimum 6 to 8 hours to drive down 350 miles from Lancashire to Cornwall.
Yeah, but did I ever sit there and think,
You'd
I
see
wish
him
you
once a
hadn't
year,
brought
though.
me to Newquay?
Maybe twice a year, didn't you? And that was it.
Yeah.
So there's not much difference.
No.
You know?
No.
And it was more expensive to call someone back then because it was still long distance.
The world is just getting so much smaller. I mean, literally, I know it's a lot of money, but we looked into flights going back to Europe, and it's like 9,000 New Zealand dollars for return flights for 4 people. I know that's a lot of money, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here going, it's nothing.
But we're all coming here to work.
Yeah.
And make money.
9,000 New Zealand dollars wouldn't stop me going back for a couple of weeks, you know? It's just...
It wouldn't mean either.
No.
Yeah.
If that's what it takes and I need to go back, and then, okay, we'll go
and the
back
majority
then.
of people, and honestly, talking to a bunch of people, like, because, you know, you always meet expats wherever you're from, because you hear someone's English accent. Oh, yeah, whereabouts you from, mate?
Well, I don't. I just run.
But you do, don't you? Because, but what I'm saying is, so, you know, you always meet people, and they always say, you know, you haven't seen them for like 18 months or something. Oh, where'd you go? Oh, we went back home. And you're like, oh, what was that like? And it was just like, oh, it was horrendous.
I love
we
hearing
thought we
stories
missed
like
it,
that.
like, you know, and then you get back, he said, we got off the plane, and he said, it's just not changed. And you get back home and everyone just says, oh, where have you been? I haven't seen you for ages. I live in New Zealand, mate. Oh, really? You never guess what's going on here. And it's like, that's what it's like.
the bloke who owns the chippy.
Yeah. Or someone says,
an affair.
it's just, it blows you away. It really, really does.
Yeah,
like, you know?
yeah.
And you just think, oh, what's the point? It was like, I had a friend, John. He used to work. I worked with him for a bit, and he was going to come and work with me, but he said, no, we're going home. We've had enough.
To England.
Yeah, he was living down in Dunedin. He was working for a gas fire company down there who they made them. And I remember seeing him and saying, you know, what are you up to? And he says, I'm going home. I said, well, why is that? Oh, it's just we want to give it. You know. So he went back home.
Hang on. Why did he go home?
Because he'd had enough he thought he'd had enough of New Zealand.
Really? Why? Did he name any reasons?
I know the reason. One of the reasons, the job he was doing was, I think it was stressing him out, because he went from like hands-on tools work to management work, and you know, he was the service manager for New Zealand, really. So all these problems coming in, he was flying over to Australia, and they were trying to set up a company in the UK and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, they were trying to expand the company. And like I say, he just like, I've had enough. He went back home, bought a canal boat, all these sort of things that, you think, it's going to be perfect.
Did he have kids?
Yeah, a daughter and a son.
How old, do you know?
A daughter, I think she was 18 and he was about 14 at the time.
What, when they went back to England?
Yeah.
Right, go on.
And
so they get on the canal boat. Where did they live?
The Midlands.
Right.
He's from the Midlands area. And literally, it was just before Christmas. I'm standing at the side of the road, and I just hear this guy beeping. And I looked over, and there he is in my old company van. And I'm like,
wearing your bloody shoes.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just like, you know, it's just like he pulled over the side of the road, and there we are just chatting on the side of the road. And it's like, I can't believe you're back. Like, you know, and he told me all the story about the canal boat and this, that, and the other. And I said, why? Why did you come back? He said, we missed it.
Really?
We really missed it, like, you know. And he said, it's just the bloody same over there. He said, nothing's changed, you know. And it's just, he's over here now, and they're happy as Larry. So
ping pong pom, isn't it, Brian?
That's it. They're typical ping pong poms, but he's a ping pong pong because he's gone back and forth.
And did he bring his kids back with him?
Yes, yeah.
Really,
his son was. I went to the Christmas do in my old company, and he was
his
there.
son there?
His son was there. Yeah.
Did you talk to the son?
Just a little bit. Yeah, he's only 16 now.
Did he say anything about leaving and coming back?
No, I didn't really get much chance to talk to him like that. No, but yeah. So
I'd have asked. I'd have said.
Yeah, but there you go. That's it. And even Michael Alsbrecht.
Oh yeah, he went
Michael
back and
Electrician.
hated it, didn't he?
They left like 10 years ago, and they were gone for about 6 years. And then I just heard someone shouting across the electrical merchants. I look over, and there he is. Like, what are you doing here? Like, you know.
Yeah,
and it's just the same. Yeah,
I love hearing those stories.
Yeah, they're great stories because there's two people that I know that have been back to England and come back.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And both set up their own businesses. You know, and you just think, and that's one of the guys who I helped set up the business. You know. Right,
you lovely lot. We're going to go now because Brian's going to go and make us our dinner.
Yep, and Liz is going to do some YouTube comments.
Yeah, we're going to be going 38 minutes now, haven't we?
Yeah, but it's a podcast. And
I love this. I absolutely love doing podcasts, and I think this is. I think I might do this on a monthly thing where I just put questions to the group, and they can sort of make the show themselves. You know?
And if you know Liz's email, which is liz@itsadrama.com, send her an email if you've got some ideas yourself that you'd like us to talk about.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I'm not going to hammer this out. But if you are moving to New Zealand, you should consider. What's that thing in the film where he goes, "You ought to reconsider"? I can't remember what film that is. Remember, he goes, "I think you ought to reconsider yes," or something. I can't remember what film, but you should
that sounds like Sexy Beast.
I don't know what it is, but you should consider coming and joining this community. Like we've said before, the New Zealand package is full of 9 hours worth of videos and podcasts and community and chat and just real life people on the ground who can support you with the dream and your adventure of moving to New Zealand. And for all you people that are in that group and you message me today with your messages, thank you so much. You're all lovely. And I really, really appreciate it. And I hope we've just been able to give you a little bit of clarity on those fears.
Yes. Yep.
So, until next week, my darlings. I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah. You stay strong, kia kaha. Stay strong, te true. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast this week. We have loved having you here with us.
If you love this week's show, please share this with your friends. Send it to anybody you know that wants to think about moving to New Zealand and get on over here yourself.
And tell them how brilliant it is as well. And also, if you haven't signed up for our free 5-day video guide showing you what life is really like in New Zealand, then go over to the website and sign up. You are missing out. This is brilliant. Go over to www.nzahead/free and we will send you 5 days worth of videos about what life is like in New Zealand. You are going to love it. So one more time, that website that you need to sign up for the free 5-day guide is www.nzahead/free. So we're going to see you next week. Until then, have a great week and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Say bye again. Bye.
Bye.